There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
So, as I am sure that you are aware, Sony's XAV 9500 ES model has been causing a stir for high-end audiophile guys everywhere because it's their top-of-the-line model, and it's awesome. But did you know they also launched 2 other models to back that up? And that's why you are here today. This is CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM, all about Sony, and it starts now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another session of CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and today is a big one, guys. We are kicking off the Source Unit sessions with the big name, and that is, of course, Sony. Man, of course, if you guys are tuning in, I see the comments already coming in. We got a huge contest that we're going to talk about, and in order to participate, make sure you interact with us and you put some comments in the comment below. Tell us where you're from, what shop you represent, and what is going on. All right, let's get to the show. We could not be talking about Sony and these new units that they've unveiled if we didn't bring in their Canadian distributor. Of course, I'm talking about Gentech International, and representing them is, of course, our good friend and brand manager, Mr. Nima Jalalvand.
Hey, Ben, how's it going?
Nima, it's going great. As you can see, we're already getting loaded up on comments. I guess guys are kind of excited about this little announcement that we did last second, but we'll get to that in a second. These are exciting times for the Sony brand, especially in the Source Unit category. Could you not agree with that statement, Nima?
Totally agree. We have 2 brand new units coming out. We have the contest going on. So we're super excited with all these brand new units, the new features that we've been waiting for all along. So it's going to be definitely a interesting August for us, and a lot of good news coming.
You know, and it's good news is what we need exactly, because I think we all know the challenges and that everybody, the entire industry has gone through. You know, I'm not going to dwell on the past, but it's great to see that we're emerging out of it. There's new product coming down the pipe, and it's here coming soon. We'll get more details about that. Let's talk about this contest. Those that are tuning in, thank you for joining us. It was a little bit of a last-minute surprise, thanks to the people at Sony. I'll call them crazy, but man, we love it, of course. Yes, if you are tuned in, we are going to be selecting, I correct myself, the group behind this will be selecting one of you guys who have tuned in to win a brand new XAV 9500 ES. Guys, this is not a typo. Your ears are not blocked. This is exactly the truth. This is what's going on. Nima, what do they need to do?
So very simple. All we're asking is, while you're watching us live, go on our chat box, comment about the show, comment about yourself. You can talk about who you are, name of your shop, and at the end of this the show this afternoon, we're going to basically collect all these comments and pick 2 winners, and one for the 12 o'clock show and one for the 3 p.m. show Eastern time, so that we get a lot of comments, and basically share these 2 great units with the dealers that are tuned in.
This is an unprecedented contest, guys. We're not giving away 1. We're giving away 2 XAV 9500 ESs, which is absolutely redonkulous. So whether you're watching this live right now at the 12 p.m. Eastern session, or you're tuning in and watching this and our playback as a on demand at 3 o'clock, it doesn't matter. Comment during both sessions right here. whether you're watching from YouTube or you're watching on Facebook or wherever it is that you're watching from, put the comments down. Somebody here is going to win a brand new 9500 ES unit. All right, let's get to the show. We're going to bring on our product expert, none other than the global product training manager for Sony, who's going to come in to the studio and tell us all about not only the 9500 unit. Of course, I know he's going to talk about that, but these two brand new units that are causing a mess. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Kris Bulla, welcome to CMA Connected once again. What's going on, Kris?
Hey, Ben, it's always good to talk to you and our awesome crew up there in Canada. We love you guys up there, so we appreciate the support. Good to see you guys. Hold on one second. I'm marking down redonkulous on my CMA
Redonkulous.
bingo card.
Quote me on that.
That's a hard bingo card spot to get.
Okay, full disclosure, I literally had to take a double take on the email, pick up the phone, call Sony and say, what did you want us to do? Yeah. And yes, I'm confirming it one last time. We're not giving away one. We'll be giving away two XAV 9500 units. But let's learn about these units that these people of the industry have tuned in to talk about. How amazing, Kris, does it feel to have the buzz and the success obviously generated from the XAV 9500 ES unit, but now to back it up with two brand new full screen units? I mean, it's got to feel good finally after all this time.
Man, it's awesome. As a product trainer, it's really important for me to have really cool stuff to talk about, right? So there are times when any trainer kind of goes through a lull in product or times like you were mentioning earlier where we went through a couple rough years there and it was just really tough to talk about a lot of positive things. Now we're full steam running ahead and we've got some really cool stuff to share. The 9500 kind of set the tone last year when we introduced it. And I mentioned throughout a lot of trainings last year with that unit that you'd begin to see some of that technology and some of those features trickle down to our core line. And that's what these two new units represent. We take what works with our existing product and take those pieces and put them in the new product as we develop it. And that's what you're seeing now.
That's amazing. So I'm curious to see how much of that DNA has trickled down into the core line. I think this is I suspect maybe the beginnings of much more. We're going to find out more for sure. Break it down for us. What are we going to learn today, Kris?
So we're going to go through both the XAV AX4000 and the XAV AX6000 and what the differences are between those two head units. Then we're going to transition to the 9500 and we'll talk about all the high-res sound capabilities of that unit. Surprisingly, there's a lot of similar features between all three units, and we'll talk about those as we're going through the AX4 and 6000.
Amazing. Well, first of all, shout out to everybody who's come on and learning about Sony today. Kris, we're going to go ahead and give you the stage, if you will, so we can learn all about these two brand new units. Take it away, Kris.
That's great. Thank you. So we're going to bounce in with our slideshow here. So pretty simple stuff, but we're going to buzz through a lot of the cool features. On the screen now, you see our AX4000 on the left and our AX6000 on the right. And we're going to buzz through some of the top line features of both of these head units. And then we'll get down into a comparison chart of what the differences are specifically between the two head units. All right. So first things first, let's get all of the cool stuff out of the way and talk about the features that everybody's looking for. Both units, both the 4000 and the 6000, feature wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. This is a big deal. This is what your customers expect nowadays. The technology in vehicles in the aftermarket side is really looking to match or upgrade what is coming on the OEM side, right? So what you don't want to do is have somebody with a vehicle where they're looking for an upgrade with sound and not be able and have to go backwards in an upgrade, right? So bringing features like wireless CarPlay, Android Auto meets and exceeds some of the OEM stuff that's out there. So that's pretty important for you to offer this as an option for your customers. Next up is Maestro Compatibility. So it took us a while to get back. We reintroduced Maestro capability with that 9500 last fall, and both the 4000 and the 6000 offer Maestro compatibility. The only thing we don't do out of the box is radar integration, but all of the other standard Idatalink Maestro features are fully supported. Next up is a pretty robust 14-band graphic EQ and time alignment. We have time alignment built into these head units, so you can kind of adjust that sound stage, make things sound like it's supposed to. And we have a very cool high and low pass filter system for 3 different zones: front, rear, and subwoofer. and obviously the corresponding frequencies are there, but you can actually get up to a 48 dB octaves slope on these crossover filters, which is kind of unheard of in a head unit, right? You see that in some of the higher end DSPs out there, but it's a big deal to get this inside of a head unit. So just for a simple head unit upgrade, you now have time alignment, some pretty robust filters to control your sound, and the 14-band graphic EQ built in. Next up, so we've always kind of led the charge with high-res audio. This has been very important to Sony. We helped to develop high-res audio formats way back in the day, and we began to reintroduce those to the public in the automotive environment with our RSX GS9, probably 6 or 7 years ago now. So we've continued that push, and these 4,000 and 6,000 head units will play any type of high-res audio format file that you have or your customer has. Okay, any type of file that you bring in, as long as it's on a USB stick, can be played through that head unit. And of course, it supports all of the capabilities of any of the apps that you're playing through CarPlay or Android Auto. So one of the biggest advantages of one of our typical Sony head units is the compact chassis and the ability just to have that singled in portion on top. Occasionally we'll get asked like, hey, can you move that to the bottom, or why don't you guys do it on the bottom? We found that just in mass production here, that more vehicles are more accommodating with this on the top versus the bottom. And this is especially true for bikes and things like that, where you've got a bar or some sort of mechanical piece behind the radio that this kind of sits up over and above. It's kind of cool. So even with all of these new features, we were still able to keep this in a very compact, shallow depth chassis that's singled in and only on the top. And this gives you the ability to kind of tuck in your Hdmi Maestro module or any steering wheel control adapter or integration harness pieces that you have up underneath that chassis, and kind of use that typical single doubled in format, but hide all of your pieces underneath there to save some space in the dash. So Bluetooth with LDAC is becoming a bigger deal. This is something that consumers are starting to take notice of. You'll hear high-res streaming, you'll hear high-res Bluetooth, you'll hear a lot of different variations of that terminology in the marketplace for the consumer side. And LDAC is actually a Sony developed technology. So anybody who's claiming Bluetooth with high-res streaming that's using LDAC is actually using some of our technology in their head units. So you do have some competitors that are using that technology. We, of course, include that on the 9500, the 4000, and of course the 6000. Any of those Bluetooth connected devices that have LDAC capability can stream full LDAC high res to the deck itself. Keep in mind that LDAC high res is kind of dependent on the environment and the devices you're using, right? So the head unit will accept whatever LDAC format you're sending to it. But the phone or the portable device that you're using to stream that data to the deck may vary that output based on how you're getting that information to the unit itself. And the environment that the phone and the radio are in, and that stream that's connecting them, may also dictate the bandwidth for that stream. So LDAC has an ability to kind of change its quality setting up or down based on the environment it's in. So keep in mind that you may not always get the highest resolution when streaming via Bluetooth, but you can get as much as possible in that environment. Next up, so there's really not a phone nowadays that can't take advantage of a full 3 amp charge. So we've included that 3 amp charge out of our single USB-C output on the back of this deck. There is no physical connection required for CarPlay or Android Auto. Both of those handle wireless connection. Android Auto will also work by plugging it in, but CarPlay does not. But both will charge the phone while they're connected at 3 amps. So you will get a good solid charge above and beyond what the phone's using while it's plugged in. Next up, and this is actually kind of an undiscovered gem in our head units. Those of you that have used them or installed them in the past, you know this to be true, but the quick wake up feature has been around since our AX5000 way back in the day. That quick wake up feature is super important because when you start you get in, you start your car, and you throw the car in reverse, it's usually a fairly quick process. The problem you've got now is with all of the connections, whether it's a wireless or wired connection to a phone, and maybe the Hdmi Maestro piece firing up and connecting with the vehicle, there's a lot of things that kind of have to start and engage before you have full capability of a head unit. What we've been able to do, and this is true for the AX 4000, 6000, and 9500 on the ES side, all of them will wake up and be fully functional in under 8 seconds. And that includes the audio output for the Maestro piece as well. So there's nothing worse than getting in the car, starting it up, throwing it in reverse, and maybe you've got an integration piece from Maestro in there, and you don't have the beeps for your rear sensors maybe playing through the sound system until you've already begun to back up. That's super important when you are trying to get in the car and get off fast. Okay. Next up is we want you to be able to customize the wallpaper and kind of the user interface of our decks. And you saw glimpses of that with the 9500, and we've included that in the 4000 and the 6000 now. So you have 4 built-in wallpapers that are included. Those are shown on the screen. And you have the ability to upload 2 of your own personal wallpapers. So this is important. If you want to customize it for a consumer, you can actually put up whatever graphic you want on the screen. Our recommendations are on the screen right now. There are certain resolutions that are required. So the 4 and 6000 will require an 800 by 480 pixel image. Keep in mind, if it's bigger or smaller than that, the deck will stretch it or shrink it to match that. So keep that in mind when you're creating a wallpaper. The 9500, of course, since it's a high def screen on that, you'll have a 1200 by 720 pixel count on that. We always recommend, if you are updating a wallpaper on a head unit, that you are taking into consideration the background, what will be behind the buttons or the different aspects of the screen. So this is only on the home screen. So you won't see this in like the Sirius XM screen or anything like that. So no worries there. But if you have a background with a white car on it, and that white car is parked behind a couple of our white icons across the bottom of the screen, you may not be able to see them when you're driving, or when you're trying to glance down quickly at the radio. So keep that in mind when you are trying to update those. The examples you've seen on the screen here, if you are a part of our Sony dealer Facebook group page, I've got a couple posts in that group that have a bunch of images like the ones shown here that are great backgrounds for either one of those decks. And you can go ahead and apply those as you want. So in addition to the customizable wallpapers, you can now customize the app layout on the screen. So with these new decks, there's a lot of cool new features included. And the one shown on the screen here, the base home screen, is shown on the left. But if you hit that all apps link there on the right-hand side of that screen, you'll expand it to see the whole app drawer. And that shows all of the apps that are included on the radio. Now, the one shown here has a Maestro unit connected to it. So there's a few extra pieces in there, like the climate control or the vehicle info. Those wouldn't be on a standard connection without a Maestro piece. But you can drag and drop these however you'd like. So you could, maybe your customer doesn't listen to AM, FM radio at all. You can drag that radio icon and drop it in the drawer, and then put something up there that they want to use, like Sirius XM, for instance, one of the sponsors of the show, or maybe a camera 1 or 2. Maybe it's the gauge pack on a Dodge, or the track pack, where they want to see the 0 to 60 time. All that good stuff is, you can kind of rearrange that however you'd like it to be on your screen. If you'd like, you can actually remove all of the icons if you want, just to have your wallpaper there, and just click that all apps button over there to get access to any things you want. You can rearrange them inside that drawer as well. Like we have on the screen here. You could put those most popular ones in that first line if you want to take them all off that home screen. Next up, on the 4 and 6000, we do have a customizable center button. So we have hardware keys on all of our radios. We're very in tune with being able to adjust things quickly on a radio without having to look at it necessarily. And that center button there can do a couple different things. There's only 2 options to program now. We're working on putting some more features as a programmable option in there. But currently you can mute it, just a very quick tap in the middle to mute. And then if you press and hold that, you can turn the display off. And then the other programmable option currently is to cycle through the sources instead of going back to your home screen and then selecting a new source. So you can program either one of those in the settings to get a little bit more adjusted for your customers' preferences. So to recap, that 4000 has a lot of cool features. So let's go through those. Wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. It does have wired Android Auto as well, just in case your customer prefers that. And it will charge either an Apple phone or an Android phone with that full 3 amp output capability if you're hooking that up. I saw a comment bounce in that we covered a little bit earlier about Maestro radar detector integration. We do not support that currently. Okay. I think that was Scott Tucker that asked that. So wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, we have Idadlink Maestro compatibility. On the 4000, you have a 6.95 inch or technically a 7-inch anti-glare resistive touch screen. So this one has the anti-glare coating that's seen on some other units that we have, like our AX7000, and it does have the resistive touch screen. Of course, the rear camera input, the USB-C with 3 amp capability, high res and FLAC file readability. Of course, you can adjust your wallpaper settings. You've got 5 channels of 2-volt pre-outs, gold plated to reduce resistance. And you do have configurable steering wheel controls with the pigtail included in the box, a 14-band graphic EQ, and of course, time alignment and a 1-year warranty. So the 6000, just a little bit of a difference. Now, if I go back to the 4000, pay attention to the screen and the bezel. This is the biggest visible difference between the two. As we move to the 6000, this is our bezel-less design. So that screen looks like it goes edge to edge in the dashboard, which is kind of cool. The bezel's hidden behind that front plate there. So a little bit nicer looking display. It is a capacitive touch screen, but it does lose the anti-glare capability. So whether you choose the resistive touch with the anti-glare or the capacitive touch without the anti-glare, that's up to you and your customer to decide. But we have both options there. This one also has a micro HDMI input, which is interesting. That you have an HDMI input to the 6000, not the 4000, but the 6000, and it's a micro HDMI input. You can get a micro HDMI to HDMI adapter and or cable off of Amazon or wherever you buy some of your computer cables from. Very easy to find. We've tested all of them. They all seem to work pretty regularly, so no problem there. This one also adds 5-volt pre-outs and a 3-year warranty. So all the same features as the 4000, except the screen is different. You have the micro HDMI input, you have 5-volt pre-outs, and you have a 3-year warranty versus the 1-year warranty. Okay. So that kind of covers the differences between the two head units, the XAV AX4000 and the XAV AX6000. And I think these are pretty rock star units for sure in our core lineup. You do not have to be a Mobile ES dealer to get these or to see these. Just contact Gentech Distribution for all of your needs on that. So Ben, with that, why don't we roll them into our XAV 9500 ES video real quick, and then we'll bounce into the 9500 features and aspects. All right. Thanks a lot, Ben. I appreciate that. So that video actually covered quite a few things I'm going to go through real quick here. So we'll try to keep this on point. Wireless and CarPlay and Android Auto. And just like the 4 and 6000, this does have connected Android Auto as well with a cable. No CarPlay on that. Identilink Maestro compatibility, of course, because we're supporting that in all of our new decks, which is important. So the 9500 on the ES side and the 4 and 6000 on the core line all support that. This 9500 has such a large screen that we spent a lot of time really trying to figure out how to make it not annoying in your dashboard, right? So glare can be a huge annoyance when you're trying to see things on the screen. The anti-glare coating on top of this this glass on this panel is pretty effective, but we've also optically bonded the glass to the LCD. The reason we do that is because if you don't do that, there's the chance for some sunlight to get between those layers and actually bounce up and reflect off the back side of that glass. So by optically bonding that, you reduce and eliminate most of that, and it gives a much better reflection resistance inside a vehicle. So like I mentioned earlier, we have hardware keys on all of our decks, and that's just to make sure that customers can very quickly adjust the radio as they need to in a vehicle without necessarily looking at a screen. Soft keys and trying to look over at the radio are okay in some circumstances, but you want to minimize that as much as possible while driving. So we do have a hard keys across the top. You have a home button, volume and track up and down, and of course a voice activation button. And then at the bottom of the screen, you have two soft keys, those white lines at the bottom. And those can be programmed to different features like mute, display on and off, source selection. You can even program those for your track up and track down or volume up and down. You can even turn them off if you want. So not a big deal. It's kind of up to your customer what they prefer those to be. And just like the 4 and 6000, the 9500 kind of led the charge with that customization of the UI. So you can drag and drop these just like you can on the other two decks. If you want to remove all of the icons from the home screen, you can. All you'd have to do is hit that all apps key on that right-hand side that's highlighted in red there to expand your app drawer. And then you can actually even rearrange those within that drawer itself. So you can put this however you want. Just kind of your preference. It's kind of like setting up the icons on your phone. Just kind of get, how everything wants to be laid out for your phone or for your interface there, and you're good to go. With a screen this big, like, listen, you're not putting these into vehicles that were necessarily meant for a tablet-sized radio in the dashboard. So adjustability is key here, right? So we've got the standard vertical and depth-wise adjustments. You've also got a tilt back and forth about 10 degrees in either direction. But we've also added a fourth, which is that left to right horizontal adjustment. Okay, and this might help in some GM vehicles maybe that have a hazard light switch or something to the left of the OEM radio. This is important. Like in some of those, you'd be putting just a 7-inch screen back in. So the kits from some of the aftermarket manufacturers leave those buttons in place, or you actually reuse those buttons. In this case, you'll be able to slide this just a little bit to the right to accommodate those buttons on either side. It's kind of cool. You can also flip on any of these three decks we've talked about, the XAV AX 4000, the XAV AX 6000, and the XAV 9500 ES. You can adjust the driver position. So this may not be a case that you use very often, but we do have some people, especially in the States here, that are driving older, maybe Japanese import vehicles that are right-hand drive, for instance. We've got some Skylines and things like that where people have put these into those vehicles, flipped the driver position to right-hand drive, and everything's biased to the right now. And then you can adjust this left and right to accommodate that new setup in that dashboard. It's kind of cool. So this is where the rubber meets the road, right? So Sony is a sound company. We do sound in everything that we do, and we do it pretty well. So this sound chip is actually the latest and greatest technology you can get. No other manufacturer in the industry has anything at this level. This is the ESS 9080Q 32-bit DAC that is built into our head unit. Now, the RSX GS9, I've seen a few comments come in about that old feller on the block. That was the radio that kind of set the bar for high res in a vehicle, but it was a bit quirky, right? I mean, even those of you that love it, have to admit it's not necessarily user friendly, and it certainly doesn't have CarPlay, Android Auto, even a lot of the creature comforts that most people are looking for in a dash nowadays, right? So what we've done is with this chip, we're able to actually maximize the sound processing and reduce the total harmonic distortion on every source that's being played through the deck. Okay, so you can play any type of high-res file that you want, of course, but anything, even CarPlay and Android Auto that are being streamed into the head unit are improved with the sound quality coming out of it. So in addition to that, much like the GS9, we separated our digital and analog components. So we have a pretty profound amount of digital processing units inside this head unit. That's not only for the sound processing, but also for CarPlay, Android Auto, and all the digital features that the consumer wants now. But we have this really robust analog board as well, and that's to power the Class AB amplifier that's built into it. The problem is digital and analog pieces on a board make very noisy neighbors. So what we've done is we've separated those. The digital components are on one board, the analog components are on another board, and we shield them from each other completely. These are also both encased in an EMI shielded deck chassis, so there really isn't any noise that can be radiated into the deck or that can be radiated between the pieces of the deck. That Class AB amplifier mentioned is made out of the highest end components possible. Some of these are actually originate from our home audio side. The highest quality chokes, capacitors, everything that's on that board is the best quality that we can possibly provide in this head unit. So let's talk a little bit about the sound processing features. So all the high-end components and those core pieces on the board are only as good as the processing before it, right? So we've got built-in time alignment. This is very handy if you're not doing a full like DSP upgrade to a car. Now, the argument is if somebody's adding a head unit at this level, they're likely also adding a DSP. And that's fine. If you're adding a standalone DSP after the deck, don't adjust the time alignment here. You never want to set two different time alignments in a vehicle. However, if you're not doing a full DSP setup, or maybe the consumer wants to add it later on down the road after maybe at a second or third stage upgrade, you can take advantage of the DSP time alignment here in the deck. On top of the time alignment, you'll also have an 8-band parametric EQ and a 14-band graphic EQ, and both of those can be used together. What you do is if you're using the deck for processing, you'd set the time alignment first, then you'd set the parametric EQ, and then you'd set your graphic EQ. The graphic EQ is like adding the salt and pepper to your potatoes. You're kind of fine tuning to get the sound you want. The parametric EQ is more used to overcome nuances in the vehicle or with the components you're using in the vehicle. You're trying to compensate for things to get it to sound correct in the vehicle, to basically get it flat or with that room curve, right? And then adding the graphic EQ. The graphic EQ is where you get the sound that a customer wants within reason, right? Another pro tip here, you should never be boosting. Like the graphic EQ that's shown on the screen here is not what I would advise. If you're tuning, what you'll want to do is try to stay at 0. And if something seems too high, what you'll want to do is drag that down from 0, right? You'll want to take away more than add. So if maybe you needed more bass in that system setup, what you'd want to do is pull away some of the higher end frequencies instead of trying to boost the bass, right? Or the low end frequencies. That's just a better habit to get into. If you have to boost, that's okay. Some systems will require that depending on the setup or the components being used. But always pull away first if you can, and then only boost if you have to. It's just a good general rule of thumb. Next up, so that listening position feature is pretty cool. That's where you would access the time alignment. We do have a bunch of presets. We've got front, front left, front right, all that good stuff built in. You have all, which accommodates anybody sitting in any seat in the vehicle, or you have that custom, and that custom is what I was showing you with the time alignment feature. You can see it's expanded up on the right-hand side there. You can convert that from centimeters to inches or back and forth and kind of fine-tune what that is. I want to bounce back real quick on this screen. Something super important I totally glossed over here, but if you notice in the bottom section on that parametric EQ, you see like a 6.2 dB gain on that frequency that we're adjusting there. And then on a Q factor to the right, you see a 1.4. So it's important to notice that for one reason. We go down to a tenth of a degree versus a full one. So there are competitors out there that have both graphic and parametric EQs, but many of them just go up and down 1, 2, 3, 4, whereas ours goes to the tenth of that number. So 1.1, 1.2. This gives you much finer control over the sound output of the deck, and you can dial that in just a little bit better than you can dial in some of the other units. Next up, everything on the head unit, and this is true for all of the new head units, the 4000, the 6000, and this new 9500, of course. Everything is touchscreen control. So if you want, you can adjust the balance and the fader or the seating positions by dragging and dropping that dot anywhere you want on that screen. Okay, very, very easy to adjust. You can actually go in and dial them up and down if you want to get a little bit more finite control, but you can just drag and drop it. It's all touch interface and very fast response. That EQ, it's okay to do a room curve like it's shown on the screen here. Just kind of get it close and then drop that down as you need to kind of get it set. And even the subwoofer level adjustment, you can drag up and down or hit the arrows for a little bit smaller degree of control there. Next up, the filters on this. You can get up to a 48 dB per octave slope. Like I mentioned, this is unheard of in a head unit. So again, listen, systems that are getting a 9500 may be using a DSP as part of that setup, but you're also increasing the cost pretty significantly of that upgrade, right? So you're able to use the deck for a pretty simplistic DSP setup and a lot of cool filtering and control adjustments just within the head unit itself to maybe avoid that. And that should be it. So let's bounce back to Ben and Nima to talk about some of these features.
Mr. Bulla, that unit, no matter how much I hear about it, I'm always learning something new. And when you're talking about those small increments, that doesn't sound like a lot. And I was surprised that you missed that the first time, because for me, when I heard that, it means a lot, because someone who's spending that kind of money on a head unit wants to have control. And it's nice to know that Sony recognizes that by including, although at first a minimal type of thing, is actually a really big one. Because you and I both know if you're going to go tune a car, those little increments could make all the difference. That's all. I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we internally here, it's like, you can be a caveman when you're tuning, or you can be an artist, right? And this gets you a little closer to artist than caveman, right?
Especially at the head unit level, right? Like, this is unheard of. You're right. That's a little bit unprecedented. First of all, I want to say thank you to all the viewers that are coming in and putting comments on Kris. I appreciate you actually taking some of those questions in and kind of incorporating them into your presentation. This is a departure. It's new head unit time. You've got 2 new units. It's obvious there's a trickle-down effect, right? The DNA is like dripping down from that 9500 into these new units. Is this going to be what we're going to be seeing moving forward for maybe future Sony units coming down the pipe?
Yeah, I mean, the reason the 4000 and 6000 have these new features and a lot of similarities is because this is our new platform. The 9500 was the first head unit built with all of these new features in this new platform for us. So you'll see these going forward on new head units being introduced for a while now, right? And we keep our platforms for a while. We design them far enough ahead to where they've got the features they need and hopefully are fairly future-proof, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, things change pretty rapidly in the industry anymore, but for the time being, you probably won't see many decks without these features in the future. And if you notice the similarities between the EQs, for instance, and the time alignment, those are exactly the same on the 9500 and the 4000 and the 6000, right? So there's no difference. And the reason for that is, like Sony's always been about, is consistency. If you use any of our decks, those icons all look similar. The features are similar. You do the same thing to go back into the features. It's just very easy to use, right? And that consistency breeds confidence in the product itself, not only from a sales standpoint for your retailers out there, but also from your customers that are using it, maybe upgrading later.
That's a great point. Thank you so much, Kris. I wanted to comment, at the end, you were saying how you could install the XAV 9500 and use it as, let's call it a stage 1 sound system, because it does have those integrated DSP features built in, the time alignment, the parametric EQ, the 30-band equalizer. And, yeah, sure. At this level, I would gather that many system builders would be looking at perhaps a standalone DSP on the side. I wanted to take this opportunity to touch on the fact that you are coming out with your own ES amplifiers coming down the pipe. And a lot of those have, built-in crossovers and summing and, OEM integration, high-level ins. I mean, you could take this unit, connect it to that 5-channel. I mean, in most cases, you're good to go. And I wanted to point that out. You don't have to go that route. So I wanted to hear your comment on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've kind of taken a different approach over the last couple of years to designing product, right? And our product lineup. And the biggest difference has been thinking about the technician, because, like, listen, if the guys in the back don't like installing it, the guys up front won't sell it, right? That's the old, that's the old reliable thing to, you can count on. So we want to make these things as simple as possible, for everybody. Not only just the technicians putting them in, the sales guys selling them, the customer using them. It's got to be simple. It's got to be reliable, right? So we've taken a different approach, and I think you're starting to see the results of that. Retailers are more confident in this product. They now have the features to go along with that consistency and confidence. That was something that was missing, admittedly, for a long time. The wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, the Maestro, we're finally there, and we're blazing a new trail with that. And these amps, we haven't even mentioned those, but this is the head unit category, but like the amps are dropping now, literally as we speak. And, I had a personal hand in designing all this stuff, and I'm super happy about, the feedback we've gotten so far on the amplifiers and how great they're going to sound hooked up to our head units.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So all this new product, you got, basically, we're talking about 3 head units today. Where can dealers find support for this stuff? Because it's kind of new. There's new interfaces, new features. Where can dealers find support for this stuff?
Yep. So Sony.com has got all of the kind of public information, if you will. And then I think, I see a lot of familiar names on the chat box here. Most of you guys have access to our Sony North America dealer or Facebook group. We have a ton of information inside there. Not only do we have a ton of information, but you can also ask us and our 1,500 plus retailers that are in that group for some support and some information, and then attend trainings. This is a good way to get some information out, but we have trainings at Knowledge Fest. We have online trainings periodically through our Facebook group. So there's a lot of stuff going on where you can get a lot of details. Right.
Amazing. Nima, I'm going to lean on you a little bit. I mean, you guys have been distributing Sony for quite some time now. Why, could this be the best time to become a new Sony dealer at this point with all these new offerings?
Absolutely, Ben. We have been waiting for all the new features that Kris talked about in the AX 4000, 6000, and our core line for many years. We finally have all those units, and even though it's now a advanced 2 brand new units coming out in the field, easily simple to use, so that the dealers, the installers, the customers have that experience with the 2 new head units. And on top of that, the expanding the dealers in Canada will come organically. We're always seeking for new dealers. And all you got to do is just contact Gentech, talk to myself or my counterpart, and we will make this happen one way or another. And we're always loyal to our existing dealers, so we take care of everyone in a fair manner.
I'm going to be more specific. Are there still opportunities to become a mobile ES dealer in Canada?
Absolutely. There are pockets in Canada that we're seeking for brand new dealers. And again, reach out to myself or your field rep, and we will explain the program, the criteria, and we would again consider opening new accounts.
Awesome. And to get more information on what it takes to become a mobile ES dealer, go ahead and reach out to Gentech. They're going to get you covered. Kris, I have to mention one more thing. I wrote it down in bold here. Man, did I hear right, or was that a 3-year warranty on that 6000 unit that I heard?
You're right. Yep, 3-year warranty. So the 4000 has a 1-year warranty. The 6000 and the 9500 both have a 3-year warranty.
Wow, like that's game changing, guys. You dealers know. You guys listening in, when you can sell a customer, that little higher end unit, but it comes with 3 times the length and warranty. That really gives you the tool to close that deal. So I really want to highlight that. Last but not least, Kris, before I let you go, obviously we have an incredible contest going on. You guys are on a roll with your units. What last message do you have for everybody tuning in?
Well, listen, we love your support. We've gotten a lot of support through the years from a lot of really good retailers, people we're proud to do business with. Gentek and many of our other distributors across the U.S. Are great partners as well, and they manage our accounts very swiftly and efficiently with us. So it's a great working relationship. If you're not yet purchasing Sony products through Gentek in Canada or through one of our distributors in U.S., then I suggest you reach out to them and ask about them. Right. So it's a great time to get in because like the products are getting better and better, and we've got a ton of them coming out. So it's really a good time, buy low, sell high. Right. And this is what you can do right now with Sony. But contact Gentek. Listen, the Mobile ES is really strong for us. And in Canada, like Nima mentioned, we're always looking for new partners in different areas throughout the country. Same for the US. So reach out to your distributor and see if there's an opportunity in your area, and you're good to go. The 4,000 and 6,000, I got to be honest with you, these are kind of game changers at their price point and with their features. These are kind of game changers for what you can sell at the retail level to a consumer to kind of cover all the bases, right? So I think it's a good time to get in.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Kris, always a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for bringing good news. And I expect nothing but this level of news every time. Is that okay?
Hey, real quick, if you do me a favor, throw up my screen real quick. Andre from YouTube asked about the high-res settings.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
I just wanted to share that real quick. It's earlier in the video, Andre, so you can scroll back and find it. But here it is again. These are the specs for the resolution for the different file formats. So you can take a screenshot of that and expand it or whatever you want to do on that one. All right.
There you go.
With that, Ben, thank you, sir. I appreciate all the help, man.
Hey, Kris, thanks for coming on. We'll see you on the next
Kris.
one, brother.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Take care. Nima, the questions, I see them coming up on the comments. So I may as well just ask you the question now. When can we expect the 4,000 and the 6,000 units to be shipping?
So good news to share on the 4,000. 4,000, it's en route to Gentek, and we should have this out in the field as early as mid-August. So it's just around the corner. And when it comes to the XAV AX 6000, it's safe to say right now, mid-October. So towards late September to mid-October, it'll be in the dealer's hands.
So we're not talking 6 months from now. We're talking literally the
all.
next month or two. That's amazing.
That's right.
That's great. I hope that answers your question, guys. Let's one more time finalize. Well, not finalize, but remind everybody what this contest is all about. If you missed it in the beginning, you guys, the viewers, just by commenting in the comment below. If you haven't, you still got another 2-3 minutes before we close down the show. We're giving away not one, but 2 Mobile ES XAV 9500 ES units. We're giving them one away for this show. And of course, the same show is going to re-air at 3 p.m. Eastern later on today. And from each show, we're going to choose a winner from the comments, and we'll be announcing it on the CMA Network social media. What else is there to say, Nima? We're giving away 2 crazy units. That's amazing.
It was a last minute decision we made, but we made it happen. That's all I can say. And we're extremely happy that we have this opportunity to do so.
That's awesome, guys. So for, again, Nima, on behalf of CMA Networks, thank you so much to Gentek. Big shout out to Sony, of course, for, collaborating with us on this one. And for you guys, the viewers, again, I'm about to close out. Make sure you put those comments in. And if you missed this one, you want to double up your chance, come back and watch this one at 3 o'clock Eastern today on Tuesday. For more information on Sony products, there's the digit. Sony.com is where you want to go. I know that's a big site. Go through it, look through it, get to the car audio part. If not, you're in Canada and you want more information on either becoming a Sony dealer for the core products, or maybe you might be the next Sony Mobile ES dealer in your area, give them a call, gentech-itnl.com. Mr. Nima, thank you so much. And thank you again. Look forward to circling back and announcing the winners.
And thank you to everyone for participating.
Sounds good. Take care, Nima. All right. Exciting times indeed. Make sure you continue tuning in to CMA Networks and keep it locked, because we are just starting. This is the first day of many sessions along the Source Unit Avenue. It's the Source Unit sessions going on right through to Thursday, August 11th. Every day, another brand one-on-one. If you haven't already and you like this video, make sure you check out our website, cmanetworks.com. This and hundreds more where this came from. Check out my man, Kris Bulla. He has his own trainers page to check out on CMA Networks. This is your last chance. Make sure you comment. If not, we'll see you back here at 3, or maybe you're watching this on demand. 2 lucky viewers from CMA Networks is going to win a Sony XAV 9500 ES today. That's it. Thanks for tuning in. This is CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
I mean, yeah, let's talk about
Stop
today where I'm gonna go
Yo, roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?